field at the 25. Dishes it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson. He's got something. He's got something. He's got it. He's got it. He's got it. End zone. Touchdown, Tyson. There are no flags on the field.
There's a long ball. Way back. It is. Just got this marvelous feat for the catch, which must have been an outlet.
Back and looking again. Ravech running out of the pocket. Looking for somebody to throw to. Fires it downfield. And there's a collision. And it's cut out of the air. Ball pulled in by Franco Harris. Harris is going for a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Harris is going. 5 seconds. Left on the clock. Franco Harris pulling the football. I don't even know where it came from.
Everybody's waving their arms. It's into Kareem. Kareem swing left. Right hand 12-footer. The pictures tell the word. They love their captain. They love their leader. And suffice to say, ladies and gentlemen, the new king of scoring has ascended his throne.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of The Scoop. I'm your host, Sean Harris. I had a great time at the Major League Baseball Winter Meetings in Nashville. Got a chance to meet some interesting people. The city has been generous to me. The people has been great thus far. Met a lot of people there. It was very, very extravagant there. It's almost like, you're going to like one of the big extravaganzas like the Academy Awards or the Oscars or, somewhere of that nature. People was, all around and all about media, things of that nature. Met some familiar faces, rubbing elbows, with the big boys of the game. Got a chance to get some interviews in with them and talk with them. And also, it was part of my alumni from SMWW, Sports Management Worldwide. They came out and they spoke to us, in regards about what it means to make it in this business and pursue your passion in this business and, never give up and the whole 9 yards. Some of the people that came out and spoke was Tracy Rigglesby. He's the Baseball America, FoxSports.com Hall of Fame baseball writer. He had came out and was talking to us about some things, in regards to his experience about the game. We had let him speak, and we opened up with some questions and answers for him. I was glad and honored to meet him. It was just an honor to meet that guy right there because that guy right there is a Hall of Famer. He's been in the business for a long time. I mean, he met a lot of people through over the years of his experience in baseball in regards to Cal Ripken, Sammy Sosa, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, Don Sutton, just going way back, and also who came to speak with us was Dan Evans. He came out and spoke with us during the time he was over at the Major League Baseball Winter Meetings across the street at the Radisson Convention Center. He was the former general manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and now he is currently the CEO of Evans Baseball Consulting that he has going on right now. I mean, he has some interesting things to say. I was able to chat with him personally one-on-one. I thought it was real great to sit down with him one-on-one and talked to him about some things about the game of baseball, and he shared his views with me about his upcoming bringers in the sport and what he was responsible for. Back Kemp coming over there playing right now, he was responsible for Manny Ramirez trade from Boston to come over there and play, and also a lot of other great players that came in that organization. Also Maury Brown. Also, he came out and spoke to us as well. He gave his thoughts about his experience of the game, how he came up. He also works with SMWW, Sports Management Worldwide, my alumni, as well as he is the president of business of sports. Great guy. Pleasure to meet him. I had a great opportunity to share some things with him and talk with him about the game of baseball. Also, that they had on the list of guests that came out and spoke to us was Tony Cicololia and also Oscar Suarez. Both of these guys are Major League Baseball analysts. Not analysts, but agents for the World Baseball Classic, as well as international players that come over here to the U.S. and play. They represent those. It was an interesting thing about Tony that I didn't even know was that Tony was a student. He met Dr. Lash Brooks, my dean, who founded the school. He became a student, like I said earlier, and he graduated, and he started his own agency firm, sports agency firm, and end up getting into becoming a major league agent. We had another interesting group of people that came. Tyrone Brooks, he happened to be the Pittsburgh Pirates director of player personnel, as well as Larry Diamato. He was a former scout of the Houston Astros, Texas Rangers, the New York Yankees, Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Cincinnati Reds. And also Corey Schwartz, he's vice president, stats, and Major League Baseball Advanced Media. These guys, came out and talked with us and gave us a little bit about their background and how they made it into the major leagues. And I was able to talk to some of these guys one-on-one in the whole 9 yards. The unique thing about Larry Diamato is that not only he did all these things during the major leagues, but he also is connected with my alumni, Sports Management Worldwide, and he also helps some of the students get into the game, and I thought that was very interesting. So, just listening to these guys speak was tremendously great, because it's kind of hard to get into the major leagues at this at that level, but they all got to tell you the same thing, is that once you in the major leagues, you're in a league of a brotherhood, which means that you're in that inner circle, and that all the opportunities fall your way. I thought that was great, that these guys came out and took their time out to speak with my alumni class and gave us the opportunity of a lifetime, and that is to, understand from their perspective on what it means and how much it means to make it in the game. We're going to, keep it going here on the show with Stan Kasten. Of course, everyone in the Los Angeles area that's familiar with the Dodgers know of him. He's president and part owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Also, he was a former president of the Atlanta Braves and Washington Nationals. This guy here, I'm telling you, if you never met him up close and personal, I'm telling you, you're missing the boat ride, because this guy, he was so great to be around. Has so much knowledge of the game of baseball. Just shared everything with us. I was able to speak to him one-on-one in the whole 9 yards, but I cannot, unfortunately cannot share with you what me and him talked about, because that's something personal for me. I look at Stan as a mentor, so, I don't want to discredit my trust with him by putting things out there that he don't want to have out there, because this man is very important. Thanked him so much for his time to come out and talk to us, and he was a very busy man. He had to go back across the street, find out what the Dodgers' moves were being made and what was going on. We'll be back with more of the scoop from Nashville, Tennessee at the Major League Baseball Winter Meetings. Stay tuned.
I'm gonna stand up to her.
No, you're not.
No.
You know how many folks who save hundreds of dollars switching to Geico sure are happy. How happy are they, Jimmy? Happier than a witch in a broom factory.
Get happy. Get Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Hello everyone and welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by Tally's Market. Tally's Market, everything you need for parties and occasions all up under one roof. So go down there and see Happy in the Game at Tally's today. Hello everyone and welcome back. We here at The Scoop would like to give our condolences out to the victims of the Sandy Hook Elementary School. The 5 teachers that risked their lives saving the children I thought was admirable. And also, we'd like to send a condolence out to the Lanza family. Yes, I said it. After all, even though it was a tragic situation, but still, we need to keep their family uplifted in prayer too. Hi everyone, this is Sean Harris for the Scoop Talk Show. Now is my guest right here, Mr. Karl Ravech of ESPN, Major League Baseball. How you doing today, Mr. Ravech?
I'm good. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fine. So the question I had to ask you on today is about the baseball winter meetings here in Nashville. Who do you foresee coming out on top as far as a player is concerned to make an impact on what team that are looking for someone to better their team?
Well, I think the 2 guys here are Josh Hamilton and Zach Greinke. They're the 2 free agent guys. And given that Hamilton's probably the best player in baseball as a position player, he's going to have the biggest impact on the team that he goes to. And whether that team is Texas, where he's played, or it's the Red Sox, or any other team, you know, he'll have a profound impact, unlike any other player. Even Prince Fielder in recent years, even Albert Pujols. I mean, he'll have a bigger impact than those guys. And from a pitching perspective, there's nobody, as polished as a 29-year-old than Zach Greinke. And whoever gets him will spend a lot of money, but have the best, probably number 2 guy on their staff. I don't know that he's a number 1 pitcher, but he'll be a great number 2. And a team like Texas, or like the Angels, or like the Dodgers, who all have really good number 1s, he'd work really well.
Okay. Also, another one of my questions is in regards to the trade that recently went down a week or 2 ago involving the Florida Marlins and the Toronto Blue Jays. Who do you think got the better of that deal?
Well, that's a hard one to say. Because the Miami Marlins wanted to get rid of a lot of the contract money that they got rid of, and the Blue Jays feel like they can compete. The Miami Marlins may be judged in 3 or 4 years, and the Blue Jays may be judged in 1 or 2 years, because the Blue Jays look at it as a chance to compete and win right away, and the Marlins now go into a rebuilding mode that you couldn't do with the players they had. So it's really a 2-pronged answer. In the short term, the Blue Jays will win if they win,
okay.
And in the long term, the Marlins will win if they can rebuild in 4 or 5 years.
Okay. Now, I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and a lot of the fans out there are big, huge Tigers fans. And when the Tigers went to the World Series against the Giants and couldn't get the job done,
right,
a lot of them was rolling for the head call of Jimmy Leland to be fired as head coach. But instead of releasing him out from the Tigers organization, they kind of rewarded him by giving him a contract extension for 1 year. Do you think that the Tiger organization should have kept Leland, or they should have went with another, or tried to seek another coach?
I would not have traded him. I don't know that I've ever seen a manager who has been responsible for a team winning or losing any games. Certainly not a World Series. He's good enough to manage his team to the World Series, and then because they lose, he should get fired. Makes no sense to me. That Leland is as good a manager as there is in baseball. He clearly gets his team to play well for him. He has good players, but he also is often criticized for either sticking with certain players, not necessarily managing his bullpen great. Every manager has faults that you can highlight, And I always look at Terry Francona, who apparently couldn't manage in Philadelphia but won World Series in Boston. Joe Torre, who couldn't manage in St. Louis, who won World Series in New York. Jim Leyland's won a couple World Series. There's no reason to fire Jim Leyland because you lose the World Series. I would be grateful you got to the World Series because he was a part of that.
Yeah, and I also agree with that. And I try to tell a lot of people out there on my show in regards to that Jimmy Leland, he won it in two different divisions. He won it in the National and American League. He won it with the Pirates, and then he won it with Detroit. And there's very few managers that can ever say that, oh, I've won it in two divisions.
Right, Tony La Russa.
Right, and my thing is that, speaking of Boston, Bobby Valentine. Okay, they brought him in.
Yeah. That didn't go well, and I was a big supporter of it. I thought Bobby was going to have a really good year there, and it started off poorly and just got worse. And in that case, I think that perhaps, he does bear some of the responsibility for the way that went. One thing you don't generally hear about Leland or others is that the clubhouse is lacking any sort of harmony or chemistry. They may have their little flare-ups, but in Bobby's case, that clubhouse and he never seemed to get along. So I think you have to be accountable for some of those things as a manager, and certainly the players needed to be accountable. But there is a difference between being critical of Leland or La Russa or Torre in the past or any other manager who, as long as the clubhouse has chemistry and people are getting along and the team's not performing, hard to then single out the manager. And I think in Boston's case, Bobby was certainly partly to blame.
Okay. Yeah, getting back with the Tigers organization, with the acquirement of Torrey Hunter. The Angels offered him a 1-year, $13 million deal. He turned that down to go back to his early playing roots of being in the Central, since he was with the Twins. Right. How big of a move was that for the Tigers to acquire him to help them get back to the World Series?
I don't know. I think it's bigger for Torrey than it was for them. I mean, they, one thing they can do is hit the ball. I know that they didn't in the World Series, but they won the Central because of Verlander and their hitting. Their offense was great. Torrey's a really good outfielder. He makes plays in the outfield. But Avisail Garcia is a young prospect, and he may move over to left field. That wouldn't be where I'd say, boy, Detroit really needs to get a right-handed bat and have Torrey Hunter. But for Torrey Hunter, it works out really well, and he's a character guy. But again, that's a team that doesn't lack character. They have good players and good people. So to me, it's better for Torrey than it is necessarily for the Tigers.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Nice
Mr.
to meet you.
Hi, my name is Sean Harris. I'm with the Scoop Talk Show. My guest today is Tim Kurkjian of ESPN, Major League Baseball. So, Tim, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm covering the winter meetings. It's the hardest assignment that I have all year. There are a million rumors. There's a million pieces of speculation. The idea is to try to get to the truth. And some weeks or some days, it's pretty hard.
Well, I kind of appreciate what you do with your job, sir, because you bring it live on ESPN every single day to give everybody what they need to know what's going around the major leagues, as far as trades, players, or whatnot the case may be. So the question I have to ask you is that, who do you think will make the biggest moves during these winter meetings?
Well, I think the two teams we really need to keep our eye on are the Rangers, who have Josh Hamilton to re-sign, and they're also in on Zach Greinke, who's the best pitcher available. So they're in on the best hitter available and the best pitcher available. The other team to keep an eye on is the Dodgers, because the Dodgers have more money than anyone else to spend. They're in on Zach Greinke, but they appear to be in on all sorts of people. And that doesn't mean they're going to go get them all, but they're in on whoever they want to be, because their change in ownership and their new TV, local TV, radio TV package is so enormous, they have money that nobody else has.
Okay. Who do you think overall will be the big winners out of this when it's all said and done?
Well, I think the big winner is going to be the team that gets Zach Greinke, because he's the number one starting pitcher, and I think at this point it's going to be the Dodgers. But we need to see where these guys end up first. It's not a great free agent year, and there are really only two gigantic game changers here, Josh Hamilton, Zach Greinke. So I have to see where those guys land. But But my gut tells me Greinke's going to end up with the Dodgers one way or another. And Hamilton, I'm not sure, but I think he's going back to the Rangers. But even that's debatable at this point.
Okay, a couple more questions, and I'll let you be on your way because I know you're on the time schedule right now, and I hope you enjoy yourself the rest of the evening. The Detroit Tigers, with the signing of the center fielder for the Angels, Torrey Hunter, I understand that he's going to be batting second in the lineup, sources that I've read on MLB.com, as well as the Los Angeles Times, and also ESPN that's covered the story during that time. What much of an impact, or how much of an impact, will Torrey Hunter make on the Tigers, helping them get back to the World Series?
Well, Torrey Hunter is exactly what the Tigers needed. They needed to get more athletic, and he's still very athletic in his late 30s. They needed to get better defensively. He's still a well above average corner outfielder, and he can still run. Plus, he's one of the best clubhouse guys in the major league. So you bring his presence into the clubhouse, his bat into the lineup, and his glove into right field, and suddenly the Tigers really improved themselves in 3 different ways. So I thought it was a great signing by the Tigers.
Yeah, well, it's a win-win situation on both parties, because the Angels was looking to only give him a 1-year, $13 million deal, but instead the Tigers said, come on over here. Not only we'll give you what you want, you can come back home to where you all began since you left in 2007 with the Minnesota Twins, but we'll double your salary. We'll give you 2 years, $26 million.
Right, and that's why Torrey Hunter jumped as early as he did, because he knew I'm going to get a good deal, but this is probably as good a deal as he could get, and he got it right away, and in a lot of ways he set the market. So Torrey Hunter is a happy man right now, not just as happy as the Detroit Tigers are.
Yeah, I can imagine so. Now, the situation, the last question, and I'll let you be on your way, sir. The situation with the Florida Marlins and the Toronto Blue Jays deal. Florida got all those players last season in the Major League Baseball winter meetings. They acquired Jose Reyes, and then all of a sudden, firewall sale. They got the new stadium, the new team, the new colors. You know, what happened?
Well, the Marlins just made a bad miscalculation of their funds. They knew with their new stadium that they would have a chance to make a lot of money going forward, but the key that they had to do was they had to win. And they didn't win, but they told us that they would give their fans 3 years of this until they could finally win. And after 3 months, they kind of gave up on the plan. So it was very, very disconcerting for a Marlins fan who was told, I get 3 years to watch this team, and maybe we'll win all 3 of those years, or at least we'll win 1 of those years, and then all the players are gone after 3 months. And I think it's very difficult now for the Marlin fans, for the Marlins to look at the eyes of the Marlin fans without saying, well, sorry, we made a terrible mistake, because that's what they did.
That's right. You're absolutely right, Mr. Kurkjian. And there you have it, folks. Tim Kurkjian, along with myself, Sean Harris, reporting from the Major League Baseball Winter Meetings 2012 here in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you very much, Mr. Tim Kurkjian, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
My pleasure.
With the Major League Baseball Winter Meetings coming to an end when I was out there, there still really wasn't no deal settled with any teams or of that nature. Josh Hamilton was still out there, as well as Zach Greinke and other players. But then at the same time, out of nowhere, the Angels just came out of nowhere and just scooped him up. Well, more on this story, here's 2 good friends of mine who I've happened to had a pleasure of talking with during the time I was at the Major League Baseball Winter Meetings. Jason Stark, senior writer of ESPN, and Tim Kurkjian, senior writer for ESPN. Let's hear what they have to say about this huge blockbuster deal with the Angels and Josh Hamilton. The question is, will this make the Angels, now him being in the lineup along with Pujols, Vernon Wells, and the rest of the gang, make them really serious contenders for the World Series title this season? Because remember, when they signed the Pujols, who ended up going to the World Series? The Tigers. So let's hear from them.
Have agreed to terms with Josh Hamilton on a 5-year deal. Sources say that's worth $125 million. Hamilton, 43 home runs, 128 RBIs last season for Texas, joins a power-packed lineup in Los Angeles. $1 million to Albert Pujols last year, gave C.J. Wilson big money. Now this deal with Josh Hamilton. With his history of addiction and injury issues, had some vision problems late at the end of the season. Did the Angels overpay here?
Well, I think that clearly, David, they were the one team out there willing to go 5 years. I don't think that dollars per year were ever going to be a big issue, not with Texas or other teams that may have been interested. But to go 5 years on Josh Hamilton, look, the fact that no other team was willing to do that, from what we can gather, obviously means it's a risk. They don't know Josh Hamilton. He doesn't know them. But they're creating quite an environment and quite a lineup out there in Anaheim.
Yeah, if you take a look at that lineup, I know Mike Trout played some center field last year. Josh Hamilton
remains to be seen. Vernon Wells is making $20 million a year, and if everything were to remain the same, he would be a fourth outfielder. Peter Bourjos would play, and Mark Trumbo would play. But the question is, are the Angels now going to turn around and make a deal with one of those outfielders? They would love to move Vernon Wells. That's unlikely. The most likely scenario is for them to shop Peter Bourjos for another starting pitcher. They've done great work in putting a lineup together.
Yeah.
Their rotation does not shape up the way it did when they ended last season. Lost Zach Greinke, lost Irvin Santana, lost Dan Herron. It wouldn't shock me to see them trade an outfielder and more to get a starter, sort of like R.A. Dickey.
Yeah, okay. That'll be a nice pickup. By the way, Jason joining us via Skype. If you take a look at that lineup, though, Jason, I mean, you're putting Trout in there, and Pujols, and Hamilton, and Trumbo, and Morales. That is a murderer's row, is it not?
It really is. They will lead the league in MVP candidates. Albert's won a few, and Mike Trout could have won one this year. Josh Hamilton's won one. Very scary middle of the order, but also a very expensive middle of the order. Yeah. This will be the first $49 million 3-4 hole in baseball history.
All right, so how does this change the power structure, not just in the AL West, but in the American League in total?
Well, first off, I've had a lot of people reminding me today via Twitter that it was Oakland that did win the West last year, not the Angels and not the Rangers. So let's pay them their respects. But I think what's really fascinating now is, what does Texas do? A week ago, when we left the winter meetings, it looked like the Rangers almost controlled the market. They seemed like they were the favorites for Zach Greinke. They seemed like they had Josh Hamilton in their sights. They were in on Justin Upton. They were in on James Shields. Now, a week later, all those guys are gone, and the Rangers have to regroup. They could now turn around and pursue a Nick Swisher, an Adam LaRoche, but they've got some reassessing to do. They thought they were certainly going to get one of those four players, maybe two of those four players. Now it looks like they're going to get none of them.
A bunch of teams were in it, David, but it didn't appear that anyone was willing to go certainly more than 4 years, and maybe the Rangers were the only team willing to go as far as 4, meaning the Red Sox, I was told all along, would not go more than 3. As far as I know, Seattle didn't go more than 3, and when a team came along at 5, that's when Josh Hamilton jumped. But it was more than that. He went to a team that obviously has a chance to win right away. And I've been told all along, with some of his issues, that the best place for Josh Hamilton is in the middle of a really good lineup, surrounded by stars, so he doesn't necessarily have to be the savior, the guy that comes in and is going to carry the team. Well, with Mike Trout on that team and Albert Pujols on that team, Mark Trumbo, Kendrys Morales, Josh Hamilton isn't going to have to carry the entire load. He's just going to be in the middle of what is now a very formidable lineup.
What are we to...
Well, David, we know one thing from the last 2 years: they are very sneaky, because they came in at the last minute to get Pujols last year, and now with Hamilton, this was not on the radar, certainly not through the winter meetings of any kind. But what it means, again, is they're in competition for the baseball dollar on the West Coast with the Dodgers and other teams. And so many teams now are getting such a boost in their radio TV market, the local market, that they have a lot of money to deal with here. And Artie Moreno, their owner, has made it clear that he really wants to win. We saw that last year with Albert Pujols, and they didn't even make the playoffs. And after missing out on Zach Greinke and losing out on some other people over the last couple of years, they said this is the jump we have to make. If we're not going to be able to outpitch everyone like was our plan, maybe we can out-hit everybody. And they certainly are in a position to do that if Josh Hamilton is at his best.
That was Jason Stark and Tim Kurkjian, both senior writers at ESPN, good friends of mine. When we come back, we will be talking a little bit more about what went down at the Winter Baseball meetings and the SMWW Sports Management Worldwide Conference held across the street. And also, we will be getting into a little bit more about the Major League Baseball trades that went down during that time. You're listening to The Scoop. Be right back.
This is a mission, not a small top thing.
This year, share everything. Share brotherly love. Share one-ups. The Share Everything plan lets your family share a pool of data across 10 devices with unlimited talk and text.
Get a Spectrum 2 by LG for $49.99.
Hey everyone, when I go out of town to do my talk show or just want to get away on a vacation, I stay at the Guest House Inns and Suites. Guest House Inns and Suites has everything you need for a relaxing stay, such as spas and pools, complimentary breakfast, free shuttle service to and from various destinations, large king, queen, and double queen size rooms, internet with Wi-Fi, and a well-trained staff to make sure you have a comfortable stay. So when you're visiting a friends or family or just vacationing and you need somewhere to stay, make your way to Guest House Inns and Suites. Great stay, low pay. Guest House Inns and Suites. Find a location nearest you. Welcome back. While I was at the Major League Baseball Winter Meetings, I had the chance to stay at the Guest House Inns and Suites, extravagant hotel right across the street from the Radisson Hotels and Suites and Convention Center where the Major League Baseball Winter Meetings was held. Beautiful rooms, great hospitality. I mean, everything was perfect. Everything was great down in Nashville at the Guest House and the Suites. I couldn't ask for nothing more than what they gave me. Great place to stay. If you're anywhere in the country, please check it out. Stay there. Prices are great. Prices are extremely great. You'll love it. You'll love it. You know, the unique thing once about the baseball winter meetings is that you never know who you're going to meet. I mean, you could be walking in the hallway. You can even go make your way to the buffet line or go have a drink at the bar, you know, or even go to the bathroom. And before you know it, lo and behold, you're next to someone that's connected to the game. Whether it be, you know, a general manager, whether it be a scout, whether it be an agent, whether it be a writer, you just never know. And that was the unique thing and the beauty part about attending that Major League Baseball winter meetings is that, you know, it was so many people there to where every time I turned my head and looked around, it was like, oh, that's such and such, or that's so-and-so, or that's such and such. You know, it was just a unique experience that I will never, ever forget in my life. You know, it's almost like going to a concert or going to a sporting event, you know, live, you know, for the first time in your life, or even it don't necessarily have to be the first time in your life. It could be, you know, just an experience that you continuously go to, but you always see something different, see something new that make you say, wow, there's what's his name, there's such and such, there's so and so. To me, it was just great, you know. Just like I said, my alumni conference that I went to, SMWW, Sports Management Worldwide, they also had a ton of people there that came out and spoke to us. One of them was Jay Miller, Senior Vice President of the Texas Rangers and former Round Rock Express President of the minor leagues. Jay had a lot to tell us about the minor league part of the game, and that it's not all up what it's cracked up to be. It's quite different from the major leagues versus the minor leagues, and how hard you have to work to get to that level. It's almost like a player coming out of high school or college, to where if he don't make it directly to the major leagues, he have to go to single A ball or double A ball or triple A, and then he gets to the pros. He have to work his way up. And he was giving us some insight about you get a job at the minor league level with all that comes with it. Also, that came out and spoke to us was Bobby Brett, Spokane's Indians owner and former agent, as well as Mike Burling, the Durham Bulls GM. Of course, with the name Brett, everybody that knows about baseball is familiar with that name, Brett. Ken, one of his older brothers, played baseball in the Major League Baseball League, and also his famous brother of all, George Brett. George Brett, everybody knows, played with the Kansas City Royals. Bobby never had that opportunity to make it to the major leagues. He played in the minor leagues, and that's as far as he went. But he talked a little bit about what it meant for him to own a minor league team, what it took for him to do that, and how he got it started. And Mike Burling, he was a unique guy too, and he talked to us a little bit about the way he got into the sport and how he acquired the Durham Bulls. And of course, about the famous movie Bull Durham, that starred Kevin Costner. But the only thing that movie did was not only sell tickets at the box office and became big, but it also made his team very famous. There's a lot more to it in the minor leagues than everybody can imagine, but it's no different from the major leagues. It's great. It's fun. I mean, just like with me working with the ECHL Kalamazoo Wings, a minor league hockey team here in town in Kalamazoo. It's no different from the NHL. It was fun. It was great. It was extravagant. I mean, the atmosphere, the electricity in the air, just seeing the fans, seeing everything that goes on around you, the operations of it all. So it was great. And I had a wonderful time working for the Kalamazoo Wings here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, as well as I worked for the Grand Rapids Griffins in marketing in the front office. So it was just all great, Also, we had two of the heavy hitters that came and spoke to my alumni class. That was Pat Gillick. He was the former GM of 4 major league teams. Three of them, and I'm going to say it again, 3 of them were World Series champions. Okay? The Toronto Blue Jays won it back-to-back. Of course, everybody know in the late 90s with Joe Carter, Dave Steve, Paul Molitor, Jack Morris, and all of them guys. And then he ended up winning his 3rd championship, the Philadelphia Phillies. Don Welke also was on that team with Pat in Toronto when they won it back-to-back. So he got a couple of rings, and now he's a Texas Rangers senior special assistant to the GM. These guys, they came out and shared a lot of knowledge with us about the game of baseball in the major leagues and what their impact meant to the game, as well as how they got into the game. Like I said, Pat Gillick is the former GM of 3 World Series championship teams, the Toronto Blue Jays back-to-back in the late 90s, and the Philadelphia Phillies, as well as he also went on, to GM the Baltimore Orioles during the time Cal Ripken was ending his season, as well as the Seattle Mariners when A-Rod was there. And Don Welke, also 2-time champion with the Toronto Blue Jays along with Pat, and now he's the Texas Rangers senior special assistant to the GM. those guys, like I said, those guys were heavy hitters of the game, and I got an opportunity to talk to both of them one-on-one. I cannot share what we talked about on my show due to the fact that these guys are very powerful in the business, and I want to keep my credibility and trust strong with them. So if I should ever get another interview with these guys again, I'm granted to do so because they're confident that what I tell them will not leave our lips between us. Also, great guy that came and spoke to us. One of my sources where I get my information from is Jason Stark of ESPN. Jason is the senior baseball writer for ESPN, and he's a great friend of mine. I'm glad to say that he is a great friend of mine, and a lot of my information from the Major League Baseball comes from him. I don't really like to say a lot about what we talk about, but at the same time, I kind of keep what he tells me at a minimum because, once again, like I said, in this business, you have to earn credibility of trust with who you're dealing with, because if you don't do that, you won't make it in this business very long. But Jason and I have a good understanding, and we have a great communication, and I'm glad to get to know him a lot better. I'm quite sure all y'all seen him from time to time. If you do watch sports, you see him from time to time, or you listen to his talk show wherever you may be. I mean, I'm telling you, it was just a lot of people, a lot of big names, a lot of heavy hitters. Like I say, you couldn't get no better than the Major League Baseball winter meetings, and I thought it was great, and the whole 9 yards. And I thought it was just a wonderful experience to be a part of it and to witness everything that went down in the whole 9 yards. And I mean, I was just elated. I was just ecstatic about it, as y'all could tell in my voice, what I'm saying. I just, words are kind of like sketchy right now because I have so much stuff going on in my head in regards to what I've seen, who I've talked to, what I know, the whole 9 yards, I mean, Tim Kurkjian, Karl Ravech, these guys, from Major League Baseball Network, gave me some great interviews. Like I said, Pat Gillick, Dan Welke, Jason Starks, Jay Miller, the owner of the Dodgers, Stan Kasten. They gave me some great interviews, one-on-one. And Dan Evans, the former GM of the Dodgers, Tracy Roglesby, they all gave me some great interviews. Tyrone Brooks, I was able to talk to president, player personnel, the Pittsburgh Pirates, Corey Schwartz, vice president, statistician in Major League Advanced Media. They was able to grant me some interviews. So, it was great, whole 9 yards. Honestly, folks, I'm telling you right now, those of you that are listening to me right now, I wish, I mean, as much as I want to do it, I wish I can share with you guys what they personally told me when I talk with these guys. But like I said, I cannot do that. And, I'm just basically, pretty much, the pieces of information that I'm giving you right now is about as close as it's going to get what was, about what's going on. You just have to be here. You just had to be here. I mean, what can I say? It was just a great experience to talk about. I just had a great time with it all. It is confirmed. Joe Bladden signed a 2-year, $15 million deal to the Angels. The deal includes an option for 1 year. Also, to touch bases and keep you in touch with what's happening around the league of the Major League Baseball, ESPN sources has telling me through Jason Stark that Randy Choke has agreed to a deal with the St. Louis Cardinals. More to come with that story. We don't know the amount, we don't know the years, but as the days go by, we will find out towards the end of the Major League Baseball winter meetings on how that's going on. I would like to take this time to give a special shout out to Daniel in California. I promised him that I would mention his name on the show. He's a huge Dodger fan. And I would like to say the Dodgers are going to be looking good, Daniel. Just keep your head up and keep supporting the team of LA. Well, that's all we have for today's show. I would like to thank my sponsors here in the West Michigan area for making this show a success. Thank you very much. Also, I would like to send another thank you out to Tally's Market. Tally's Market, everything you need for parties and occasions all up under one roof. Thanks a lot, Happy. Also, I would like to give a very special thank you to you, the listener, for tuning in, because without you, this show could not be possible. If you'd like to send any comments or emails or things of that nature, my information is right there on the screen. Feel free. I'd like to hear from you. Let me know how the show is doing. Let me know if the show is doing great. Let me know if the show is not doing so great. And once again, I would like to thank you for tuning into The Scoop, where right here we bring the scoop, the whole scoop, and nothing but the scoop. I'm Sean Harris. Take care, and I'll see you next time.